Vu, 28 years old, is a forest worker born and raised in the Central Highlands, where lush green forests and rugged mountains surround his life. Though living in a small house deep in the village, his life is far from easy. He is the breadwinner of his family, responsible for taking care of his elderly parents, his wife, and 2 young children. The Central Highlands, with its vast forests and winding paths, is home to enormous honeybee hives that hang from towering trees or dangle precariously on cliff edges. For Vu, harvesting wild honey isn't just a means of survival, but also a family tradition passed down through generations. However, this job is not without danger. The hives are often located high up in ancient trees, sometimes tens of meters above the ground, making each trip into the forest a perilous one. At dawn, when the sun has just begun to rise, Vu prepares his gear for the day. On his shoulders, he carries a bag containing a few simple tools like a knife, rope, and an old, worn-out protective suit. Before heading out, he turns back to look at his wife and 2 children. His wife, Mai, understands the hardships he faces, and she is always anxious every time he goes into the forest. Every trip could be his last if something goes wrong. The forest where Vu works is becoming increasingly difficult to find honey because many have already harvested it. To provide for his family, he often ventures deeper into the wilderness, to more treacherous areas in search of new hives. So one time he heard about a massive honeycomb hanging from an ancient tree deep in the forest. It was a hive that many forest workers had heard of, but no one dared to approach due to the dangerous terrain and the tree's tremendous height. But for Vu, it was a chance to bring home enough money to support his family for months. The journey into the forest that time was long and full of challenges. Light rain began to fall, making the paths slippery, and darkness fell as he reached the spot with the hive. Standing before the towering tree, Vu carefully checked his rope, shoes, and began to climb. The tree stood tens of meters tall, and one small misstep could cost him his life. But with years of experience, he calmly made his way toward the hive. As he got closer, he was attacked by a swarm of aggressive bees. The buzzing grew louder, and the stings burned his skin. Despite being stung repeatedly, Vu couldn't afford to stop. He knew only patience and focus would get him home safely. With strong hands, he carefully cut away the honey-laden comb and secured it with a rope to lower it to the ground. When the job was done, Vu's body was exhausted, his limbs numb from the stings, but he felt relief as he gazed at the basket full of honey. Returning home after a long day, Vu couldn't hide his joy as he brought back a large honeycomb, enough to feed his family for some time. His wife, Mai, with tears in her eyes, knew that every time her husband went into the forest, she had to face the fear of losing the man who was the pillar of their family. But Vu, despite his fatigue, smiled gently and said, "As long as I have you all, I can overcome anything." Each day, Vu's life remains tied to the forest. He endures heading back to the forest with every honey season, climbing ancient trees, facing danger to bring back precious honey. Though life is tough for him, every effort is for his family, for the 2 young children who need to be raised, and for his elderly parents who need care. His wife, despite her worries, always supports him. Mai understands that not everyone can handle the dangerous work like Vu, but thanks to his perseverance, their family can survive through all the hard times. Every time Vu returns from the forest, their small family gathers around a simple meal filled with love. Vu, the forest worker, works tirelessly year-round, bound to the forest, enduring the dangers and hardships, but always holding in his heart a deep love for his family. For him, no matter how difficult life gets, as long as his family is there, he will continue on the challenging path of life, just like his endless journeys into the forest.